Welcome to the first Daily Tips show on the Inspired Business TV channel, where we openly discuss current solutions to problems we're facing at the moment. With myself, Gary Setterfield, Global Head Master Synergist Trainer, Business Award-winning entrepreneur and DFT Mindset Coach, and my business partner, Sukhi Wahiwala, again, award-winning business entrepreneur, sought-after international business mentor, and speaker, Forbes judge, and global thought leader. Hi, Sukhi.
Hiya, Gary. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are across the globe.
Well, welcome to our Daily Tips show. Now, we've been asked to bring this show to you because, as you're all aware, current times are challenging. Current times are different for a lot of us. And we'd just like to give you a couple of tips to help you through every day. So the first one we're looking at is, how are we all living at the moment during isolation? So Sukhi, perhaps we could have some tips and some thoughts about, suddenly we go from maybe a mum in her house on her own all day, a housewife, a husband, they only see each other at night times, children are at school normally, now everybody is either in one room or three rooms, and we're all together.
Yeah, don't we know that? Yeah, don't we know that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that at the moment?
Well, Gary, I think the question is got to be a bit more precise in the sense of, could it be something like this? That actually, let's just get to the point. How do we turn anger? Yeah, frustrations and anger and stuff of that nature. Is that right? Yeah. So they're the kind of stuff I think probably is going to be valuable to ourselves to understand, what is the seed of frustration? Why is it that we're getting angry with each other, where usually we'd have a massive tolerance? So what's going on in the brain? What's going on in the mindset? And the principle of this particular show, everybody, hi everyone, is to be succinct and to the point and try to help as much as we possibly can in a short period of time so you can digest this quickly and look forward to the next episode. So the principle that all of our sort of followers and our inspired tribe, which I call everybody #inspired tribe, what we all understand is there's an inside and outside method of our brain, of our world. I'm not going to go too deeply into that because there'll be a separate episode just on these sort of what we could say updates, you could say, and methodology structures within the Synergist method. But I think one of the key things we've got to understand is there is something at play with the frustration. The frustration comes from a little bit of agitation, well, a lot of it actually, but a little bit or a lot of it agitation in connection with how humans are reacting to each other, and probably an expectancy for the other person. So really what happens is what I expect of the third person, of the second person, a husband, wife, partner, son, child, daughter, mum, dad, etc. Because now we're not really talking about friends, are we, in essence? But what happens is when we have some feeling inside our brain of not enough, is when we start to project an element of pain, verbally, emotionally, physically, upon another person, because we're saying, in essence, why can't you notice that I'm in pain, emotionally, by the way, or I need some space, or I need some time out, or I need to focus on what I need to get done. Does that make sense? So it's those kind of thoughts that lead us into a position of feeling a little not enough, as we say. And now in consciousness, absolutely 100%, all of us are enough in life. So it's just a matter of realizing that's the case. Because would you agree, Gary, that it's about self-reflection, right? So if I can't get into a reflective state, how am I going to evolve? Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about it, we're not normally with each other every day, 24 hours a day, other than when we're on holidays or at Christmas time. And we know at Christmas time, there's a lot of frustrations, a lot of anger goes on because we're in spaces that we're not used to. Not only, we've got that situation, but we've also got on top of that, the added unknown about what's going on in the country at the moment. Everybody's in the same situation. And I think we're not self-reflecting, or we don't actually understand why we feel different.
Yeah, and I think it's agreed. I mean, this whole purpose of this particular show, the Daily Tips show, on the Inspired Business TV is about actually creating real solutions to us, not just theory and structure. So it's going to be very practical. That's the purpose of this. We call this the sort of like the power tips series. We're getting stuff together just to give people tips every single day, things that can action themselves. So if I get straight to the point, what I've realized.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, it started off with a bit of a meme that was sent to me. I think it was a bit more of a COVID-19 style joke. Now, because of the seriousness of the fact, I just want to be very clear with everybody that we're not having a joke and a laugh on the expense of COVID-19.
No.
It is a very serious situation currently that we are in. This morning, I think, some of the stuff that we're understanding is every single day more and more people are dying of this. So our heart genuinely goes out to all of those individuals and those families who are affected. Very close family friends of mine are actually affected here in Peterborough in the UK. So our heart goes out to all of them, and we're wishing everybody well, health and happiness within themselves. And obviously, please stay indoors. That's the key to stopping the healing.
And thanks to all the NHS staff, helpers, and all the special services that are all working together to help everybody else.
That's just so important. And I'd say NHS and also the private sector. There's a lot of private nurses, private doctors who have retired doctors who've come out of retirement and in private sectors. I know that the local hospital, the private hospital Fitzwilliam, where my father had an operation recently, they're now getting themselves ready to be a part of the big NHS push towards ensuring that COVID-19 coronavirus is actually secured. So this isn't about coronavirus. I'm going to go straight to the point of how we can go and take steps further forward. So just a question to yourself. I mean, there's some funny moments on internet, as I said, with people sending memes out about COVID. Some are insensitive and some are indirectly purposeful. So, for example, I received, and it came across as quite a funny interpretation of what's possibly going to happen in the future or what's happening currently. Excuse me, keep hydrated. It was actually an image or a picture, if you can imagine, of a map of an apartment. And it basically said, lounge, kitchen, bathroom, toilet, and all those sort of things, and dining room and front room and balcony. So it was of an apartment. And it said, the meme just said very clearly at the top, it said, holiday destinations in 2020. Now, obviously, whoever wrote that was obviously trying to be very funny and humorous about it. But within there, because what we look for in life, we find, right? In there is actually an answer to us all. The reality is that when you have a plan view of your house, if you visually realize that actually one of the big tips that we're going to give you is to isolate, in this state of isolation, is to identify a room that works for you personally. Mm-hmm. Now, there are destinations. That map actually does formulate a destination, a front room, a bedroom, a toilet, a bathroom. It could even be a closet. It could be a kitchen table. It could be anything you want, a dining room table. It could also be the balcony. And I feel I'm very blessed at this precise minute. We're in our own estate, the Wahiwala estate, so we've got space and time. So we can go on our patio, or we can go for a walk in the grounds because it's quiet and it's secluded and it's still isolated. So my question is that how do we use this meme to our benefit? Because what seems like a bit of an abusive play or a humorous thing, because we do need humor to get through this as well. And this is not about disrespecting the seriousness of COVID-19. It's about keeping morale up, keeping our mindset focused and driven. Yeah. So one of the first things I would suggest there, Gary, if I can just share, would be very, very clearly for us to identify a place within the house. So the first power tip I'd say is identify a place in the house or around the house where you're on your own, by the way. So you're solitary or social, where you can have a bit of what we classify as me time. Now, all of the followers of my Synegus method, which Gary is one of our master global trainers of, knows that there is a 70-20-10 segregation to time schedules and time management. Yep. 70% is our primary action, could be business, could be anything, and at the moment it could be changed a little bit. 20% could be our family, could be orientation if you're working from home, like a normal home-based office person. It could be flipped the other way. But the 10% at the end, 70, 20, and 10, which adds up to 100, the 10% at the end is very, very focused around me, around the me time, around my personal time. And this is basically creating a space within your agenda. We'll talk about schedule on another show, where we can physically do things that we want to do personally. It could be reading a book, it could be watching a movie, it could be exercising, it could be just helping another member of the family. It could also be cooking, would you believe? Because the cooking elements of us lot has increased. People have been buying raw materials, and we're starting to look at cook shows, books and shows, and starting to cook along with them as well. This is a massive uplift in the current statistical evidence that I've been reading up on. So step one, or should I say power tip one, would be to allocate actions that you like to do personally. So not just within the family. Being a part of the unit is very core, very important, but think about, what do I like doing personally? What are my interests? On my own, that is, yeah? And then action tip, should I say power tip 2, would be to allocate the space within the family home, within wherever you're isolating yourself, and give yourself that space to take that activity up. Power tip 3 would be to assess the time of the day or night that you can actually do that. So for example, if you want to watch a movie and there's only one television, you might be able to pick up an iPad and isolate yourself in another room, maybe a bedroom, or even, would you believe, in a lounge or in a corner of a kitchen or something like that, just so that's your time. But then the final tip that I want to give today is a power tip that basically you must allow everybody in the household to do the same, so that everybody knows when they can do their own personal time. And also, we'll talk about the agenda and schedule in another episode. These are only 5-minute exits. So something along the lines of allowing everybody to have their own me time, which will give everybody sanity and cohesion again within the family. That's the kind of stuff that we're doing within our own family.
Thank you, Sukhi. Well, that's wonderful. And as I say, just to reiterate those tips, find and identify your 10%. What do you enjoy doing? If I just want to repeat these.
Power tips.
Then spend the second power tip is then spend and find a location that suits you to do that activity. Find a time of day that you can do this. But most important, and I don't like giving 4 tips because tends to overload, but just remember, there are a number of you in the house nowadays, and so you must give everybody the same amount of space and time that they can, and allow them their own 10%. So, Sukhi, thank you for those tips. We'll come back on the next episode and discuss some more. I hope you've all enjoyed today's Daily Tips episode. Please do follow us on all of our Sukhi Wahiwala official social media channels, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Please share these tips with your friends and your family, anybody that you think might help. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode, where we'll discuss another daily tip. So goodbye.
And it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from me.